And global affairs analyst Calvin Dack joins me to discuss this. Good to have you join us this hour. Now, give us a sense of the conversation in the U.S. on this move by President Trump from both Democrats and Republicans.
Well, I think that, first of all, nearly everyone agrees that there are valid areas of criticism for the WHO and how they've handled the crisis, how they managed, things up to this point and what they should do going forward. But no one except for President Trump and I think some of his supporters believe that stopping the funding or pausing the funding in the middle of a global pandemic helps, because if the WHO is not doing what Trump believes they should be doing now with funding, taking away funding doesn't help. The other thing that we're thinking about here in Washington is, as shocking as this might be to take this drastic of a move, it's no surprise. Let's keep in mind that one of President Trump's main campaign promises was that the U.S. was, in his mind, paying too much to other countries, international organizations, and getting taken advantage of. This is an election year. And so I think a lot of his decision was to just show that he is trying to make sure that the rest of the world doesn't take advantage of the US, which miscategorizes the role of the WHO, but plays directly to his voter base.
You are absolutely correct. President Trump has always been very critical of how much America spends to sort other people's problems. But how much further do you think this will alienate the United States from global policy decisions?
Well, so here's the interesting thing. I think from a confidence and moral level, it will distance the United States a little bit, because this, was a huge blow to not just the WHO agencies and affiliate organizations that are fighting the coronavirus pandemic, but the amazing work they do with other health issues around the world. So there will be a moral deficit because of that. But I actually don't think that when all is said and done, that the funding will actually be stopped or will be stopped permanently. What I think will happen is that Donald Trump around him in the global task force, Dr. Fauci and others, understands the role of the WHO even when they make mistakes. And it is characteristic Trump to say something drastic, get the headlines, but then not follow through with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if, after the 60 or 90-day review that he said they're going to have, that they're going to continue to pay the money, but he gets to then say he got to police such a big international organization.
He may or may not follow through, but do you see this playing out in favor of China in terms of soft power?
I think it will, just because President Trump doesn't seem to understand or appreciate soft power. He doesn't, like, when he made the announcement, my first reaction was, if he had just said, we have issues that we would like investigated with the WHO and how they handled the pandemic, how they interpreted and distributed information from China with maybe not checking through it, and that if that investigation did not produce credible results, there would be a look into funding. That would have been an amazing example of soft power, where the U.S., as the biggest donor, was saying we need to look into this. But for him to go right to blaming them without investigating and taking away their money, he loses it. And it actually, from the world standpoint, I think makes China look better, because while they had problems with the way they dealt with the crisis, I think most people recognize that, but they're not threatening the rest of the world's health because of it.
All right, so many people say this is about President Trump deflecting and not taking responsibility for how bad things are in terms of the outbreak in the U.S. But others say this is about politics and about re-election in November, if America is to hold election at that time. What do you think this is about?
I think for those choices, A and B, it's both. It's A and B. One is he's trying to deflect. He blamed President Obama. Yesterday, he blamed the Senate for not approving the director of the broadcasting arm that runs Voice of America, because of something they had said that upset him. So he's trying to deflect blame from that. That has nothing to do with the pandemic. But he's also trying to deflect blame for November, because he said that his response has been, in his words, perfect, and that he wants to come out of this saying, I'm a wartime president, something he said on several occasions. So I think he's trying to deflect blame, and I think he's trying to lay the groundwork for his reelection in November.
So I also want to ask you about something else. President Trump is looking to reopen the economy 1st of May. Does the reality on ground in the U.S. support that move by President Trump?
According to what different states are saying now, and with our health experts, that it doesn't. But one of the interesting things that we'll all need to watch over the next few days is, while President Trump may threaten and say that he has the power, he didn't have the power to shut down certain states, and he doesn't have the power to reopen them. Now, of course, if the President of the United States says that things should be open and running, that sends a message, but he doesn't have that constitutional power. I also think you're going to see a big difference between states run by Democrats and states run by Republicans. States run by Republicans are going to be under a lot of pressure to make the president's actions look legitimate and the correct step. But obviously, they care about their people and want the best health outcomes. So the states to watch aren't going to be New York. It's not going to be California. It's not going to be, even though we're not a state, Washington, D.C., but it's going to be watching those Republican states who are dealing with this. Are they going to follow their health experts or what the president from their party says?
We've heard the governors of New York and California saying, look, they're not looking to reopen their economies by 1st of May. Mixing politics with this outbreak in the U.S., how complicated does it make things?
It makes it very complicated. And, in anything dealing with politicians, there's going to be politics. But I think this time has really shown us, with some governors who clearly disagree with the president, they've done a really good job in putting those disagreements aside and working with the federal government and the White House to do what's best for their citizens. And I think people are noticing that. What's going to be really interesting now is that President Trump is introducing a lot of things like appointment of his judges, the broadcasting director that I was mentioning to you about. The Senate, run by Republicans, and the House, run by Democrats, they don't want to be seen as having a political agenda while our country is dealing with this pandemic. So that's going to be really interesting to see just how far President Trump's political supporters in Congress are going to go down this road.
Global Affairs analyst Calvin Dack, thanks for talking to TVC News.
Thank you.